In this video, I'm going to show you how to expose data from a SQL database as a REST endpoint, and this will be used to display data in a custom front-end facing portal. Alright, so in the previous video, I showed you how to import a CSV file into a database. You can see we've got a whole list of customer data along with some postal codes. Alright. Then we've got a front-end portal using UI Bakery to display a screen with custom information from the database. Now, in order to do this, I'm going to have to set up a REST endpoint which will receive a GET request and return the custom data from the database from Linx. Now, in Linx, I can create a new process, and this process is going to retrieve all the details from the database, and then it's going to return them as the output of the process. I'll then link this process to a REST operation. Alright, so I'm just going to create a new process. It's not going to have any inputs. The output is going to be a list of customers. However, I must first find a list of customers. So with Linx, I can create custom objects, which are translated into a JSON structure by creating a new custom type. I can import these as well. And for us, we're just going to have a customer, and these will contain a number of fields. Now you can set the data types of these if you want, and Linx will automatically translate these appropriately. Alright, so now I've got a customer object with my fields. I can then set it as the output of the customer's process. So in our case, we're going to have customers, and now this will be a list, and now you must set the type of a list, and this will be our customer that we just created. So now we have an output. We're now going to retrieve the customer data from the database. So using the database plugin and the XML execute SQL function, I can then use the connection string from earlier, which I saved as a setting. And I can then use the built-in editor to retrieve all the fields from the database and just return those. So in this case, I can just generate a select. Now this will return all the customers row by row. I can return this as a list if I want, but just to demonstrate how it works. To set it as the output of this process, I would then use an add to list, because it's adding to each item to the list of the output. So I can set the output. Now Linx will automatically pre-build editors, so you can set individual options. So in this case, you can set individual fields if you like, or you can set the entire object. This just gives you greater control if you want to manipulate data at this level, which I'll do in the next step. Now that we've returned our customers, we can just debug that. So return the data from the database. So now that's returned the first row, and now the output will contain that data. Now I can just let this run, and it would have loaded all 100 customers. Alright, so now that the process returns a list of customers, we can link this to a REST endpoint. Now in order to access REST functionality, I can just add the REST plugin. Now this has functions for calling and hosting REST web services. In our case, we're going to use the simple REST host to create a REST web service. I can just drag that into my solution. I'm then going to host this off my cloud server. And I'll just use the wildcard character and host it on the port 8080 along with my little path. Now I can begin to add operations. So to do that, I can just simply click and the editor will display. I can give my operations names. So in our case, I'm going to have the get customers operations. The path extension will just be customers. It'll be a GET request, and the response body will be a list of customer, like we said for our process. Alright, so now it's automatically created that operation, and I can build functionality in here. So in our case, I'm going to execute the GetCustomersFromDatabase process, and now I'm going to return the result by using a set value. So I'm going to set the response body, which is automatically a list. If you expanded that, it would automatically pick up the fields of the customer. But in our case, we're going to assign the output of that process as it's the same. Alright, so now we can deploy this to our cloud server and test it out. Now if I go to my service dashboard, I can then just take a view of all my services and my timer executions, and then I can just activate my REST service. Now this will activate the service so that I can begin to make requests to it. Now to test my request out, I can do it in the browser, and this will just be my server name as I set it up there. On port 8080 me customers. Now this will return all my customer information, which I can then use to display it on a front-end user interface. Now that I know my REST API is working, I can add this to my front-end, and to do that I'm just going to create a data connection in UI Bakery. So here we're going to make a call to me, customers, and this will call the request when it's loaded. Alright, so let's preview this. And as you can see, all the data has been returned from the database into the front end. Now you'll notice there's a geolocation column. And now what I'm going to do in the next step, in the next video, is return the geolocation of each postal code by enriching it with an HTTP request. So join me in that video and check out Linx.